Am I audible?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the delay. Yogesh ji, Dhaval, Zoom use Samsung SM8. Who is this? Who is this? Acha. ठीक है, I put this thing on screen. We had not read the letter last time, na? We had not even read it once.
Anmol bhai, we had read it last time, but
We had read it full letter. We had read it. We had read the full letter.
yeah.
Manomaya Purusha, Annamaya Purusha. We become aware. Okay, ठीक है. Okay. 8-7. Some regular people have not joined. Okay. ठीक है, we'll start. The soul, representative of the central being, is a spark of the divine.
Hello, what happened? I lost you, Anmol bhai. I don't know others. Hello.
Yeah, I think he dropped off something with his network, probably.
Yeah, correct.
We can't hear you. I think Anmol, you're speaking something.
Yeah. I'm clearly audible, right? Because my
Yeah,
laptop
now it's
sent me a
okay.
message.
You're back now.
I see. Just give me a moment. Now I am audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I connected one Bluetooth speaker and that was acting as a mic also. I thought it will disturb the sound transmission. Okay. The soul, representative of the central being, is a spark of the divine, supporting all individual existence in nature. By central being, he means the Jivatman, which is the unborn, non-evolving individual self, our true being. The soul, representative of the central being, is a spark of the divine, supporting all individual existence in nature. The psychic being is a conscious form of that soul growing in the evolution. So here we can see that he's using a different, set of words for the same thing. Earlier he had called the psychic being as the spiritual personality put forward by the soul in the first letter that we had read. Here he's calling it a conscious form of that soul growing in the evolution. So the psychic being the form of the soul.
Yeah, but it's obvious, Anmol, that because we are in a human form, which is conscious, the spiritual personality consciousness is available to us as part of this psychic being, right?
Yeah.
So both the things are aligning up. That's the point I was making.
Which things?
The spiritual personality,
Yes,
which is how
correct.
you described,
Correct.
and
Yeah, of
a
course.
conscious.
They have to align. It's just I was mentioning it so that, I mean, as good students, we keep in mind all the different descriptions, definitions he has given, and we can correlate them in our minds. The psychic being is a conscious form of that soul growing in the evolution. In the persistent process that develops first life in matter, mind in life, until finally mind can develop into overmind and overmind into the supramental truth. The soul supports the nature in its evolution through these grades, but is itself not any of these things.
Anmol, just one quick question. In the previous one, it talked about the psychic being becoming aware of the Jivatman. The psychic being becoming aware of the Jivatman, as per this, is developing into overmind, or is it the supramental truth? Which of the two is that goal?
I mean, in my understanding, Jivatman is not necessarily related to any plane of consciousness. It's not fixed to any particular plane of consciousness. We can also say when the psychic being, I think the sentence you are referring to is the one where he says, in the full awareness, the two join together. Right?
Correct.
So once one has gone beyond the mind, matlab, crossed over the mind, which starts with what Sri Aurobindo calls higher mind. My understanding is that even at that plane, one can have the full union, I would not be able to say, but one can have an experience of the Jivatman and start knowing oneself as the Jivatman. Full awareness, again, I'm taking the help of words to understand. It's not the right way. The right way is to understand directly. But if you say full awareness, usme and joining, and knowledge word, when he defines it, the way he defines it, it would truly happen fully only in the supramental consciousness. But the merger with the Jivatman, the merger of the psychic being with the Jivatman could take place at a lesser level of consciousness also, like higher mind, illumined mind. Only when you attain to the supramental, then you understand things also in their totality. For example, you can realize that you are the Jivatman, okay? And you may choose liberation, you may choose to not participate in this world, not transform this world, etc. Right? But if you have attained the supramental consciousness, then this is not possible, because the supramental consciousness gives you the true purpose as to why the soul came down into matter at all in the first place. Am I making sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. So in the persistent process that develops first life in matter, mind in life, until finally mind can develop into overmind and overmind into the supramental truth. So the soul is supporting the nature in its evolution through these grades. So there is the presence of the soul in material forms also. This is what it means, right? And it is the presence of the soul in the material form which will evolve life out of that form. Subsequently, mind out of life or mind in life, right? And then until finally mind can develop into overmind and overmind into the supramental truth. Acha. But even while it is supporting the nature in its evolution through these grades, it is supporting. Okay. This is the two words by which we distinguish the Jivatman and the soul. The Jivatman presides from above, the soul supports from below or behind. Okay. Preside and support. These are the two words. Okay. But is itself not any of these things. So the soul is not matter, it is not life, it is not mind. Okay. Which can bring us to one of the definitions of mukti that we had said earlier, that when in your consciousness you have discovered, found out, or identified yourself with that which is neither matter, nor life, nor mind, then you have found your soul. This is what Mother also says. Okay. Why I am saying this is what Mother also says is because this definition is given way back in the Veda. Chatvari Shringa Trayo Asya Pada Dve Shirše Sapta Hastaso Asya Tridha Baddho Vrishabho Raviti Mahodevo Martyam Avivesha. It's a very, very amazing verse from the Rig Veda. Tridha Baddho, three are the bonds, right? I had referred to this earlier. So just take वो जो हमने पहले पढ़ा था उससे correlate कर रहे हैं. Now, second thing in this first paragraph, he's saying life and matter, mind and life, until finally mind can develop into overmind and overmind into the supramental truth. Okay. Now, for students of Sri Aurobindo, there are other gradations in between. After mind, there is higher mind, then illumined mind, then intuitive mind, then overmind, then supermind. So why is Sri Aurobindo not mentioning the previous three? Right? Or wo hoga actually वैसे ही, he is not mentioned them. Because even as compared to the real, this is what he says in a letter. I am just giving the information here mainly. कि the attainment of higher mind, illumined mind, intuitive mind, और उसमें भी the first two is relatively easy. Intuitive mind is more difficult. Over mind, though, he says it's very high. So that's why he makes a distinction kind of between the overmental and supramental and the three lower planes. And then again, between the intuitive and the other two also. Right? But overmind बहुत high. In the ashram, when we hear of disciples who have attained the overmind consciousness, like Nalini Kanta Gupta, Mother wrote in one of his birthday messages, en route to the supermind. She wrote this, I think 1969. So, but that kind of thing in a written document, many others may have attained, I don't know. Many, maybe few, but basically a very high level of consciousness. Overmind is the plane of the gods. Okay. So just a clarification, just while reading this came, why he's saying mind into overmind, then overmind into supermind. Okay. If you have attained the overmind, you have become a god, basically. A god. If you have attained supermind, you become God himself. You have realized God consciousness fully, and you are then afterwards functioning mainly as a center of the one divine in this universe. But you have realized God completely if you have attained the supermind. And because I'm just saying this for, completeness sake, before the supermind is attained, the full basically secret of creation and all is not understood, and the realization is not complete. That complete realization of all the aspects, nothing is left out, because supermind by definition is a consciousness which reconciles everything perfectly. Usme kuch chhutta nahi hai. There are no opposites in it. There is perfect harmony in it. Okay. I myself was saying, do not talk too much about supermind. Talk about basic first steps right now, but this much is necessary for everybody to know, whoever is a genuine student of Sri Aurobindo. All right. Any question in whatever I have said or whatever we have read so far? No? Okay. The lower nature, apara prakriti, this term is taken from the 7th chapter of the Gita. is this external, objective, and superficial subjective apparent nature which manifests all these minds, lives, and bodies. Right? What does he mean by external, objective, and superficial subjective apparent nature? Apparent is obviously that which you can see, which is visible to you. All these minds, lives, and bodies. External objective is, जो भी स्थूल जगत जिसको बोलते हैं, whatever is in the range of the gross senses, simply called senses, but for the sake of distinction, I am saying gross senses, जो इंद्रियों के दृष्टिगोचर हैं, या शब्द, स्पर्श, रूप, रस, गंध, all that is the objective. And subjective, because वो अपरा की definition में also comes भूमिरापो नलो वायुः खं मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहंकार इति यम में भिन्नः प्रकृतिरष्टधा. So man, buddhi, and ahankar, this is kind of this is the subjective aspect. Okay? All this is the apara prakriti, this eightfold ashtadha, as Gita calls it. Right? Mind is not objective that way. Subjective hai. Ahankara, again, it's not something tangible, you cannot touch it. Same with buddhi, right? Like that. But the Panchamahabhuta is what this gross creation is made out of. Okay? So the lower nature, apara prakriti, is this external, objective, and superficial subjective apparent nature which manifests all these minds, lives, and bodies. Yeah. All the mental worlds, all the life worlds, and the subtle physical world mentioned in the book 2 of Savitri, they would come under the domain of this. These are all the creation of apara prakriti, which is why they are subject to the gunas. Last time we had read that fantastic, not just mentioned, 18.40. Na tadasti prithivyam va divideveshu va punah sattvam prakriti jair muktam yadevih syat tribhir gunaihi. There is no entity, even in heaven among the gods, you go so far up as that, which is not subject to the three gunas. Right? So everything is gunamaya. In the apara prakriti, everything is gunamaya. And I mean, if you have to define the gunas in one very, very broad sense, you can say creation, Brahma, Rajoguna, preservation, Vishnu, Sattvaguna, and destruction, Shiva, Tamoguna. Okay. Right? So the lower nature, apara prakriti, is the external, objective, and superficial subjective apparent nature which manifests all these minds, lives, and bodies. ये जो हमको दिख नहीं रही हैं, these minds, lives, and bodies in the subtle planes, they are also part of the apara prakriti. Because जो para है, उसके अंदर there is no division, उसके अंदर there is perfect oneness. That is what Sri Aurobindo calls the higher hemisphere. Dhaval Bhai has a question. He raised his hand.
Yeah. Amol
हाँ,
bhai, you mentioned external objective as gross senses, sthula sharira.
Objective जो एकदम ठोस है, हाँ.
Correct. So superficial subjective would then mean that
Superficial
subtle
subjective,
sharira.
वही मतलब superficial in the sense of not being able to catch it
Sukshma.
tangibly, but it's not very deep. मतलब
Yeah. But
हाँ.
would it also include sukshma sharira here? Because
Yes,
they are
I
also
would say
senses,
so.
no? They
Sukshma
also...
Sharira is the manomaya,
Yeah, okay.
it's the mind, basically mental being.
हाँ.
यही वो ना terms के बीच में
Okay,
correlation
okay.
करना is not that easy. Sukshma
बहुत, हाँ.
Sharira is defined as
हाँ.
manomaya kosha. ठीक है? Now manomaya kosha is basically mental body. Mental body क्या है?
Correct.
कि जो
हाँ.
mental plane है, जो the mental principle, consciousness has 7 principles ना, तो उसका जो वो mind वाला principle है, उसका वो जो substance है, that is the Sukshma Sharira.
Correct. Okay.
है ना?
Yeah, thank you.
Because see, all 7 principles are there at all 7 planes. And everything, in order to exist, it has to have some kind of substance, no? So some kind of
What do
body.
you mean by all seven are
All seven
all seven
mane
are
Sat, Chit, Shakti, Ananda, Vijnana, mind, vital, and body. These seven.
are present and seven
They are,
planes?
see, there is no division in creation. So all seven are present inside all seven. So in the physical, the other six are involved, they are coming out of it. In the mental plane also, all the other six are there.
Physical also?
हाँ, अगर वो physical नहीं होगा तो जो mental worlds हैं, which are mentioned in Savitri, the world of the greater gods and all that. So how will they have any kind of form or body? उनकी वो जो form or body है, that is the physical at that level.
Okay. I
Got
see.
it?
I see.
उनका जो movement वगैरह है, that is the life principle at that level.
So फिर that is why at the highest level in Satchidanand, Sat is that satless substance. Is that the reason for that? Because the physical is
Sat,
also
वही, then again, it's not very easy to, if you start calling Sat as the subtlest substance, you're not wrong, you're right. ठीक है? But substance word normally matrically use करते हैं. Sat के लिए we use the word being, but then again, what is being? तो बस होना, pure essence. What do you mean by it? It is the subtlest substance. Yeah, you're right. फिर आप कहेंगे कि उसके अंदर वो है. It becomes a little, but एक basic understanding के लिए कि मतलब anything will have some kind of substance. It will have some kind of life energy or movement. It will have some kind of awareness, the mental principle. It will have some kind of pure knowledge, ठीक है, जिसकी वजह से वो चीज फंक्शन कर पा रही है. It will have some kind of delight because without delight nothing can exist. ठीक है. It will have some kind of chit shakti, some kind, like that. So ये उस सेंस में है. ये हम थोड़ा सा ऑफ ट्रैक जा रहे हैं अपने लेटर से.
No, that's okay. Yeah. Understood. We can discuss that offline later on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We should
yeah.
aim to finish this letter today.
Sure.
है ना, थोड़ा लेट भी स्टार्ट हुआ था. ओके, सो द सुप्रीम नेचर, परा प्रकृति, concealed behind it is the very nature of the divine. Yes, again this is a reference to the Bhagavad Gita. The word para prakriti comes in the Bhagavad Gita 7.5, para prakriti jiva bhuta, like that. Concealed behind it, behind what? Concealed behind the apara prakriti. So the divine nature, the para prakriti, is hidden behind the external nature, behind the lower nature. उसके पीछे छुपा हुआ है. ठीक है? It is the very nature of the divine, which is why in the Gita, the other words used for para prakriti are swam prakriti, मतलब my own prakriti. Swam माने खुद की, mam prakriti. Like this, ये दो terms हैं, I think और तो नहीं है. These are the two other terms. By this is referred at another place, it's called mad bhavam, my way of being. ठीक है? So all these mean the para prakriti, the divine nature. Okay. So the supreme nature, para prakriti, concealed behind it is the very nature of the divine. What is that nature? A supreme consciousness force which manifests the multiple divine as the many. This is the Shakti. A supreme Chit Shakti, consciousness force, which manifests. Now, ye thoda sa, it says multiple divine as the many, right? What is meaning here is ki the divine is having multiplicity inherent within himself as a possibility or a quality. Okay? Antarnihit hai. The Chit Shakti actually manifests that and actually makes the divine multiple. It makes him many. It makes the one many. इसीलिए, that para prakritir jiva bhuta, the para prakriti which has become the jiva. Jiva meaning the multiple divine, the individual divine.
So
Jiva meaning all of us.
One question here, multiple divine you said is inherent multiplicity.
हाँ.
That means multiplicity is involved in the unity.
Yes.
If I
Yes.
were to
Multiplicity is involved in the unity, and at any time, and एक जगह तो श्री अरविंद ईशोपनिषद में ये भी कहते हैं कि multiplicity and unity, they kind of complement each other. He says something like this, but that is a little more difficult to understand कि how the unity depends on the multiplicity. That is, in my mind, more difficult to understand, but this much is sure कि multiplicity is inherent in the unity, and at any time it can be made to come out of that by the Chit Shakti.
Acha, so Chit Shakti forces the multiplicity out in the sort of a
Manifest.
precipitate form because it's a
हाँ,
lower world.
Exactly. A supreme conscious, जो para prakriti है, the supreme consciousness force, that manifests the multiple divine as the many.
Acha.
ये यहाँ पे ना, the moment you read the word, you read the adjective multiple before the divine with a capital D, you're like, what are we talking about? Divine तो एक है.
Exactly, I was also confused.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Divine तो एक ही है, तो फिर multiple adjective उसके आगे क्यों लगाया है? तो उसका meaning ये है
Makes
कि
sense.
उस one divine के अंदर multiplicity अंतर्निहित है. And the Chit Shakti brings that out in the form of the Jivatma, that is all of us.
Okay, yeah.
Right? I may just say here कि last time जैसे मैंने वो Purusha in the heart वाली बात आई थी, I had given a lot of emphasis on कि distinguishing that and the Ishvara within the heart. It was only from the point of view of not falling under the risk of that very terrible ego by which one can start thinking of oneself as the divine. Right? वो विनम्रता, और वो हमने वो कोट भी किया था गीता का कि आसुरिक क्वालिटीज में वो मेंशन्ड है, ईश्वरो हम अहम भोगी ऐसे करके आता है. राइट? बट it is also true and important to remember कि one has to realize oneself as the divine in one's consciousness. कि essentially मेरी consciousness में मैं divine ही हूं. सोहम अस्मि, अहम ब्रह्मास्मि. This has to be realized. If it is not realized and simply we think of ourselves as a bhakta, then the realization is not complete. This also has to be realized. But then again, if you realize that you are essentially one with the divine, you will not become the divine is the divine, and the Jivatma is the Divatma in that sense. They are same, but yet there is a difference. I mean, these are things of experience. With words now, you can sometimes kind of spin a web around yourself only and get trapped in it. So, okay. Now, these many are in themselves eternal selves of the Supreme in his supreme nature, para prakriti. Mamaivamsho jivaloke jivabhutah sanatanah. 15.7 of the Gita. It is an eternal portion of me. यहाँ पे eternal self बोला है, which becomes a jiva in the world of jivas. Okay. So these many, that is us basically, we are that many. Okay. These many are in themselves eternal selves of the Supreme in his supreme nature, para prakriti. So we are nothing but eternal selves of the Supreme. Here, in relation to this world, they appear as the Jivatmas supporting the evolution of the natural existences, Sarva Bhutani, in the mutable becoming, which is the life of the Sharapurusha. This actually word Sarva Bhutani and Sharapurusha, etc., is taken directly from the 15th chapter of the Gita. So my guess is that the person who has written this letter to him, he has asked basically to reconcile the terms of Sri Aurobindo's yoga, psychic being, central being, etc., with the terms in the Gita. It's a reply to that. Sharaha Sarvani Bhutani. This is in the 15th chapter.
Yeah.
ये वहां से लिया है.
Yeah, I was up. Correct. Shara Sarvani Bhutani. Yes.
15 point मतलब completeness sake के लिए 1 minute.
Dvamimau Purushau Loke.
15.16. 16th verse of the 15th chapter. वहां पे ये वर्ड है कि द क्षर पुरुष इज द सर्वाणि भूतानि. Okay. So here in relation to this world, they appear as the Jivatmas supporting the evolution of the natural existences, Sarva Bhutani, in the mutable becoming, which is the life of the Shara, mobile or mutable Purusha. My this thing would be कि अभी इस पे बहुत ज्यादा फिक्सेट नहीं करते हैं, because in the essays on the Gita, the meaning of these terms will be made amply clear.
Okay, yeah.
Our purpose in this branching out was to understand mainly the Jivatman, the soul and the psychic being. ठीक है, और उसी के completeness knowledge के लिए हमें sections पढ़ रहे हैं अभी. Okay, and this is clearly trying to correlate those two. अभी वो गीता में properly आएगा in the essays on the Gita. Here तो he has dealt with it in a kind of summarily fashion. Letters में, ठीक है, तो we'll not go further deep into this. Okay, the Jiva equal to the Jivatma and the creatures, Sarva Bhutani, are not the same thing. Because Jiva exists beforehand. Before these Sarva Bhutani is nothing but the becoming of the Jiva. Right? वो उसने वो रूप धारण किया एक तरह से. Are not the same thing. The Jivatmas really stand above the creation, even though in it, the natural existences, Sarva Bhutani, are the creatures of nature. अभी थोड़ा सा कहीं कंफ्यूजन नहीं हो इसके लिए. वो कह रहे हैं द जीवात्मास रियली स्टैंड अबव द क्रिएशन इवन दो इन इट. और पहले हमने कहा कि वो जीवात्मा केवल प्रिसाइड करता है, नीचे नहीं आता, बट इट इज द जीवात्मा ओनली विच कम्स एज द सोल ना. तो इट डज कम इनटू द दिस थिंग. तो एवरी टाइम इज नॉट इलैबोरेटिंग पूरा पूरा लंबा लंबा सेंटेंस लिख करके. सम थिंग्स हैव टू बी अंडरस्टूड. यू नो, वन शुड नॉट बी वेरी रिजिड कि ये तो वैसे वैसे वैसे. रिजिडिटी तो वैसे भी it's not possible in the study of spirituality. One has to be, the aim is to create that, what should be called the consciousness of infinity in the mind. The true consciousness is infinite in its nature, right? So there is no real place for, there is no actual place for rigidity. So the Jiva, the Jivatma and the creature, Sarvabhutan are not the same thing, blah, blah. Next, man, bird, beast, reptile are natural existences. But the individual self in them, right? यही तो वो पहले भी बोले थे. But is itself not any of these things. This part here, right? But the individual self in them is not even for a moment characteristically man, bird, beast, or reptile. If it were na, then it would be limited to only that particular form. Because it is essentially and perfectly free of these things which it becomes. That is why it can assume greater and greater forms. So as Sri Aurobindo says, man is also not the highest. He says man is a transitional being. Man will be superseded by, you know, a divine being, what he calls a supramental being. Okay? अब आप इस सेंटेंस को इस तरह लें. If the individual self were even for a moment characteristically man, bird, beast, or reptile, then to the extent of that, you know, having that characteristic in itself, it would be limited to assume other forms or higher forms. Okay. So, but what he's saying here for clarity, but the individual self in them is not even for a moment characteristically man, bird, beast, or reptile. इसका practical implications क्या है हम लोगों के लिए? I'll come to you. What is at least one practical implication? कि even though I am having the form of a man or a woman or whatever, ठीक है, I am not this. I am beyond this. This is not my totality. This is not my essentiality. Okay? I am the individual self, and that individual self is not even for a moment characteristically this which I tend to identify myself as. I am that infinite pure consciousness, that Satchidananda, and I have donned the form of a man. I'll just complete this and then come to the whole by. In its evolution, it is the same through all these changes. Okay. What is it? A spiritual being that consents to the play of nature. This is who we are. We are getting a definition of ourselves. Who are we? We are a spiritual being which has consented to the play of nature. एक वो quotation circulate होता है ना कि I am not a material being having a spiritual experience. I am a spiritual being having a material experience. Okay. Very, very, you can slow down more here if needed. Who are we? We are a spiritual being that has consented to the play of nature. This is who we are. Yes, Dhaval bhai.
So in a particular lifetime, a Jivatman is for a form, but not necessarily across the lifetimes is what he's saying. But in a given lifetime, it is
Yeah, developed
one to one.
Jivatman. Okay. बोलिए.
Is it not one to one for a given lifetime?
For a given lifetime, it is 1-to-1.
Okay.
But एक कोई बहुत developed जीवात्मा होगा which has become mukta. It can influence multiple forms. It can project itself. See, once the Jivatman has realized what it is, it has become God. It gets all that omnipotence. Okay. And then once in that realized and liberated condition, it can send a projection of itself into multiple forms also.
Oh yeah, okay.
Why not?
That is
it can
why
send an emanation of itself. It has become so powerful, but that is in the state when already the evolution of the Jivatma has become complete in that sense, and it has found itself who it is, our realization ho chuka hai. Uske baad it can emanate itself in different bodies if necessary.
Acha.
Oh.
That's why in Paramahansa Yogananda book, there is he appears in multiple forms in simultaneous places.
Yeah.
That is because of that.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Acha.
Malab, limitations don't remain once you have attained that level. Once you have attained realization, the word limitation does not exist in your dictionary anymore.
Correct.
And this is the things, which motivate us to do yoga. Of course, different तरीके से होता है. This is the sense of power. ठीक है? There is the aspect of ananda. There is the aspect of knowledge. There is the aspect of immortality. Sat Chit Shakti Ananda, like that. So these are the, sort of baits, you can say, by which the divine draws us towards himself, by which the soul is prodded forward.
If you don't mind repeating the point before it, like you said, we can dwell on it. So because that I want to register that. If you don't, the one which you said before, we can dwell more on it if you want. So if you can just repeat it for the sake of it's important.
Who are we? Yes. यहाँ पे जो वो definition दे रहे हैं, I am reading this sentence. The individual self, that is us, is not even for a moment, in our case, man. We are not man. We are beyond it. We are beyond it. And that is why we can go beyond this mental or human form. Because we are not characteristically man. Okay. And second part of this, who are we? We are a spiritual being that has consented to the play of nature. This is who we are.
So Anmol, this dialogue or this line that we are reading, which is being said by Shri Aurobindo, is actually an input being given to all 10 of us on this call to our psychic being. Because till now we may have identified.
Yes, correct.
We have identified so much with the mind-body complex.
Exactly.
So this is the voice of the Lord, of our Guru, telling the psychic being that please realize you have to walk the path to know. Right now, it's just a statement that you are a spiritual being that is consented to the play of nature, but this should become an experience for us. So we have to strive more. We have to walk this path with a greater level of commitment to take it to a realization, right?
Exactly. And lest I be misunderstood, my laughter was not because of what you said, but because I was so happy to see that you are so perfectly, you want to understand the process also through which how this knowledge is being given to us right now by Sri Aurobindo. I laughed on that. So beautiful, very beautiful what you said. Thank you. Okay. Shall we read further?
Yeah.
Okay. What is original and eternal forever in the divine is the being. Okay? जिसको स्वयंभू कहते हैं, self existent. What is developed in consciousness, conditions, forces, forms, etc. by the divine power. So the divine is the Purushottama, the divine power is the Parashakti or Paraprakriti. Okay? By the divine power, which is also called the mother, is the becoming. Becoming के लिए the Sanskrit word is bhava. What is original and eternal forever in the divine is the being. Original and eternal forever is the being. What is developed is the becoming. And how is it developed in consciousness, in conditions, forces, forms. The eternal divine is the being. He who alone is. Mother says, there is nothing but him. There is only him. In fact, this is a mantra. There is only him. There is nothing but him. He alone exists. There is no other existence apart from him. The eternal divine is the being. The universe in time and all that is apparent in it is a becoming. Who is this? Acha, Shweta.
Why is it apparent in it? जब inherent है तो apparent क्यों हो गया?
1 minute. The eternal divine is the being. Okay. The universe in time and all that is apparent. Apparent का मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो है नहीं. No. Apparent means जैसा वो दिख रहा है. The appearance that it has assumed.
I'm confused a bit here. Apparent is not real, right?
नहीं. Apparent मतलब जैसा वो appear हो रहा है आपके सामने. How it is looking to you. If I am looking to you in a certain way right now, and if my appearance changes, I mean, this does not mean that I am not, does it? एक सेकंड में appear का वो देख रहा हूँ, root क्या है? If I can find out easily, to come forth, that is what the root means. बाहर आना. तो जैसा वो बाहर आया है, जैसा वो दिख रहा है, जैसा वो प्रकट हुआ है. But it does not mean that this is the whole मायावाद philosophy का problem ना, कि appearance का मतलब कि वो है ही unreal. It's not unreal. This is the form that thing has assumed right now. This is how it is appearing to me. You can say it is unreal to the extent that appearance might change, but that eternal reality, वही तो जो sentence में है ना, कि the eternal divine is the being. So it is that being, that eternal divine, which can assume different appearances. But in each of those appearances, it is that divine which has become like that. Na? It is that divine which is appearing like that. So how can you say that it is not there? So this thinking is because of the Mayavad philosophy. कि appearance का मतलब ही unreality है. नहीं, appearance का मतलब जैसा वो अभी दिख रहा है. श्री अरबिंदो की एक सोनेट है फॉर्म नाम से, FORM सोनेट. O worshipper of the formless infinite, reject not form. What dwells in it is he. फॉर्म ही तो अपीयरेंस है, रूप। धवल भाई
Hmm.
आगे बढ़ूं?
Okay, yeah, this is not in that sense
तो
of
धीरे
not
धीरे
not
सिंक इन
real.
करेगा।
Yeah, no, no. हाँ हाँ, बढ़िए बढ़िए, आप समझ।
Anmol,
हाँ
can I ask something, please?
Yes, please. Yes, yes, please.
Yes, just now, just a little before, you said that human beings are spiritual beings
Yeah.
in consent with the
Yeah,
play of
they
nature,
are a spiritual
right?
being that has consented to a play of nature.
Play of nature, right? So does it mean, like I'm bringing this, because that we are in there in its hukam, it's in its what you call in its command. Am I correct?
In whose command? Nature के command
In
में.
the nature, divine's
Yes,
command,
yes, yes.
nature's command.
So long
So it
as
is the
we have
same
not
thing.
found ourselves,
Hmm.
see, when we gave that consent,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
we became fully involved in the play of nature. And
Yes.
gradually, we have to, through the process of evolution, first know ourselves as that which gave that consent and which, of its own sweet will, chose to take part in this. Till
Hmm.
such time, we are subject to
So,
the play. We are its plaything. हम उसके कठपुतली हैं तब तक.
so when we fret and fear, so that means we are not into it. We
No.
are just what you call
The true being,
contradicting.
see, fear क्यों होता है? The moment you mention the
Hmm.
word fear can come only to that which does not know that it is immortal.
Consent. Hmm.
जो
अच्छा, एक और
जानता
बात
है कि
मैंने
वो immortal, eternal है, उसको fear हो ही नहीं सकता. The root cause
अच्छा,
of all fear is the fear of non-existence.
but मुझे लगता है आजकल I don't think well I'm talking about myself now. I hope I'm not deviating the point. I won't take too long.
No.
The thing is that you see, if you ask me, I'm not fearful of death. I don't fear death at all. I don't fear death. I said even I was born in 1960, so earlier I was not there, and after I'm gone, I will not be there again. The situation is going to be the same, So why fear?
Yeah, correct. That is one way of looking at it. There's another way of looking at it. I was there before 1960 in some other form. You were in the psychic world, okay? You were waiting for this birth as GT. Now, after you leave this body, you might either get liberated and go to some higher loka or, a nirvanic state or something, or you may go to the psychic world where you will see that which is truly you can never not have been because it is eternal. जो सनातन है
Right.
वो सनातन है.
So there is no fear basically,
Yeah. In
आजकल
both
तो
the
fear
cases,
of
there is
paying
no fear.
bills है.
Correct.
आजकल तो fear of paying bills है. How do we
Exactly.
pay
यही
our
मैंने
bills?
पहले point बोला था. Thank you for. See, there can be only two things. अगर simple बुद्धि से देखा जाए, अगर हम अपने existence को question के, either we are temporary or we are permanent. There cannot be a third thing. And whether we are permanent or we are temporary, there is nothing to fear or worry about. अगर टेम्पररी है तो सारा खेल खत्म हो जाना है, फिर काय बात का फियर. अगर परमानेंट है तो भी काय बात का फियर.
बिल्कुल सही बात है. Thank you and sorry for deviating. I just wanted to.
Not at all. Not at all.
Thank you so much.
These are
I'll
very
unmute.
informal sessions. Everybody is welcome to share this thing.
Thank you, Anmol. Thank you.
Most welcome. So I am moving forward. The eternal being in its superior nature, para prakriti, is at once one and many. It is at once one and many. What is called Vidya and Avidya in the Isha Upanishad. The consciousness of oneness and the consciousness of multiplicity. Okay. But the eternal multiplicity of the divine, right? The eternal multiplicity of the divine, when it stands behind the created existences, Sarva Bhutani, appears as, or as we say, becomes the Jiva. That is the meaning of the Para Prakritir Jiva Bhuta. The eternal multiplicity of the divine. Sometimes because of too much, वो मतलब ब्रह्मवाद वगैरह, मायावाद वगैरह, there can be a kind of inner resistance to the use of the word eternal before the word multiplicity. हो सकता है, मैं कह रहा हूं, जरूरी अगर नहीं है तो मैं डालना भी नहीं चाहता, बट दैट मल्टीप्लिसिटी इज ऑल्सो इटर्नल, वी आर दैट इटर्नल मल्टीपल ओनली, हम है ही वही। वो बार बार एक्चुअली दिस श्लोका नीड्स टू बी मेमोराइज्ड काइंड ऑफ, 15.7 जो है गीता का, एंड मोर इंपॉर्टेंट देन मेमोराइज, मेडिटेट, कॉन्टेम्पलेट, रियलाइज द मीनिंग ऑफ दैट। एंड फर्स्ट थिंग उसका जो एकदम प्रैक्टिकल इंप्लीकेशन है, वी आर इटर्नल, हम सब जीव हैं, हम सनातन हैं, भगवान ने बोला है। भगवान ने बोला है, दैट इज अ स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट फेथ के लिए, इट इज समथिंग टू बी रियलाइज्ड। इनिशियली तो ये श्रद्धा रखनी पड़ेगी कि सिंस कृष्णा हैज सेड दिस, इट कैन नॉट बी इनकरेक्ट, राइट? ममई वांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सना, वी आर ऑल इटर्नल इंडिविजुअल्स, देयर वाज नेवर अ टाइम व्हेन वी वर नॉट, देयर विल नेवर बी अ टाइम व्हेन वी विल नॉट बी, वी आर इटर्नल।
अनमोल भाई,
यस,
ये जो आपने अभी बताया कि वन एंड मेनी इसमें लिखा है वैसे इनहेरेंट, बट जैसे अब तक आज तक, I'll be very honest in admitting that आज तक I was thinking that unity is the principle of the upper hemisphere and division is the principle in the lower hemisphere. Therefore, how can many be in the one?
the
But here,
antidote to that thinking is the part that I'm highlighting now. The eternal being in its superior nature, Paraprakriti, is at once one and many.
yeah, exactly. So this is a very पूरा काउंटर इंट्यूटिव हो जाता है ये।
Exactly. काउंटर इंट्यूटिव हो जाता है बिकॉज हम अपरा प्रकृति में हैं। अगर हम परा प्रकृति में होंगे तो इसका ऑपोजिट काउंटर इंट्यूटिव हो जाएगा। काउंटर इंट्यूटिव इसलिए लग रहा है बिकॉज अभी हम इग्नोरेंस में हैं, हमने उस नॉलेज को, उस डिविनिटी को रियलाइज नहीं किया। गुड दैट यू मेंशन्ड दिस, द इटर्नल बीइंग इन इट्स सुपीरियर नेचर, परा प्रकृति। तो ये परा प्रकृति की क्वालिटी है उस हायर, इज एट वंस वन एंड मेनी।
Yeah, that is a very key line, is at once.
And without this, what is the significance of you and me? No significance without this. अगर many का कोई इटर्नैलिटी नहीं है, उसकी कोई ट्रूथ, एंड ट्रूथ मीन्स इटर्नल, whatever is not eternal is not true in that very strict sense of truth. जो इटर्नल नहीं है वो ट्रूथ नहीं है, सिंपल। If I am not there forever, that means I am false. That means I should not be too much interested in myself. There is no real meaning to myself. I should logically give any importance to myself if and only if I am eternal. If there is going to come a time when I myself will not be, then what is the point of doing bloody anything at all? The only reason why I should make any effort to do anything at all is because I am forever. It's common sense. तो वो सनातनत्व जो है, इवन इस तरह से झक मार करके mentally also one becomes convinced कि there is no point in doing anything if there is going to come a time when I myself will not be, जब मैं ही नहीं होऊंगा।
Anmol,
Yes, sir.
the one thing that we've been all told is that there is that state of stillness when there is the formless. You know, you talk about the form and the formless, right? The term for it is, in the formless there is nothing, but there is just silence.
Yeah.
What is the term that's used for it? It's
निराकार बोलते हैं, फॉर्मलेस को निराकार बोलते हैं।
Nirakar. So we always thought, and even I, this has been quite this line that says it is at once one and many.
Exactly.
What we always thought was that if you read the above line,
Yes.
that it is the Nirakar, which is actually one. And in that Nirakar is the apparent universe, which is what he said, that the eternal divine is the being, the universe in time and all that is apparent in it is a becoming.
Yeah.
So till now, the thought was that the Nirakar is only one, but here it categorically says that it is at once one and many. The eternal being in its superior nature, para prakriti, is at once one and many. What I wanted to ask you is that when it says many, it is referring to the form which is apparent and in time, and when it's saying one, it's talking to the Nirakar. Is that the picture or no? I'm not saying it right.
I didn't get the question clearly, but can you please repeat the question?
Okay. So when you say the Nirakar and Sakar, right?
Nirakar and Sakar is form, formless, and having a form.
Correct. So when you say the Nirakar, which is the one which has nothing but silence, it is formless, it is just pure being, right? Now here it's one. And in
Yeah.
that one being, if you read the line above, it says that you have the universe in time and all that is apparent in it is a becoming.
Yeah.
So the superior nature, para prakriti, is at once one and many, one in the Nirakar and many in the
Sakar.
becoming, in
हाँ
the
मतलब
Sakar.
see
But
and
in the one, the fact, I think the clarity that I wanted to get from you is that in the Nirakar, it is actually one. The many is in the Sakar. It's not that the Nirakar is also one with multiple Jivatmans in it, or is it?
निराकार जिसको आप कह रहे हैं जिसमें कोई फॉर्म नहीं है, ओके, if there is no form, obviously it is oneness, because how do you distinguish कि this is this, this is that through some kind of form, right?
Correct.
So but he is saying कि वो जो one है, वो जो so called formless है, the capacity to assume forms and become many is inherent in that, और वो जब
Absolutely.
चाहे तब वो अपने अंदर से उसको बाहर निकाल सकता है.
Absolutely. So the Nirakar is the formless, which is the one, but the many, what I'm understanding for what we've read, he's saying that the many is coming because the many is the becoming. Because in the previous line it says the
correct.
eternal divine
Yeah.
is the being.
Many
The
because of the becoming, correct.
that is apparent in it is a becoming.
Yes.
The eternal being in its superior nature, para prakriti, is at once one.
Yes.
One, why? Because it is the Nirakar,
Yes.
and many, because it's the Akar. It is the
Yes.
apparent.
You can say that. Definitely.
Right?
Yes. We can put it this way.
Perfect.
But Anmol bhai, but because the multiplicity is inherent, that is why it is able to become.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
Exactly.
without that,
And-
that seed of multiplicity within, it cannot become also.
Exactly. Exactly. If the multiplicity were not inherent, then how would it become that? Because the multiplicity is inherent and it has a tendency to come out. कोई चीज inherently है लेकिन वो बाहर नहीं है, तो उसके होने का फायदा क्या हुआ? There's no use, right?
Correct.
Everything also ultimately has to have some use, isn't it? This
Yes.
is like very basic, very basic thing. तो ये है, अगर वो होती नहीं inherently तो वो बाहर कैसे आते?
It's a there is a that's why there is this beautiful metaphor in the tree,
can't hear you.
and in the tree again is the seed. Right?
हाँ.
That's the similar.
Yeah.
In the tree, in the
हाँ.
the seed is in the tree.
Yeah.
I mean, in the seed there is the tree, and in the tree there is the seed. So it's a continuous one
Yeah.
many, because
Yeah.
the
Correct.
entire tree is inherent in the
Correct.
seed.
Correct. This example of tree and seed, Sri Aurobindo gives more than once in the Life Divine.
अच्छा.
Especially evolution के लिए, कि apparently वो इतने छोटे से सीड जिसमें लग रहा था कुछ नहीं है, उसके अंदर से इतना बड़ा ट्री निकल करके कैसे आ गया? How? That means the tree was involved in the seed.
Yes.
वो उसके अंदर
yes.
एक सूक्ष्म रूप से छुपा हुआ था, वरना उसके अंदर से कैसे बाहर निकल आया भाई? How is it that the seed has become the tree otherwise?
Yeah. So that multiplicity of the tree is inherent, but the becoming of the tree is the form.
Yeah. ठीक है, shall we at least finish this? It's 9.
Yeah. Let's
हमने
go
8:07 पे शुरू
Now
किया
it's
था.
very
Yeah.
clear. Yeah.
In last sentence of this, मैं जो एक बार शुरू से पढ़ रहा हूँ this paragraph. What is original and eternal forever in the divine is the being. What is developed in consciousness, conditions, forces, forms, etc. by the divine power is the becoming. The eternal divine is the being. The universe in time and all that is apparent in it is a becoming. The eternal being in its superior nature, para prakriti, is at once one and many, but the eternal multiplicity of the divine, when it stands behind the created existences, sarva bhutani, appears, or as we say, becomes the jiva. That is the meaning of the para prakritir jiva bhuta. In the psychic, on the other hand, ठीक है, वो distinguish कर रहे हैं between the psychic and the Jivatman. In the psychic, on the other hand, there are two aspects: the psychic existence or soul behind, and in front, the form of individuality it takes in its evolution in nature. In the psychic, on the other hand, there are two aspects. The psychic existence, अभी यहाँ पे एक और उन्होंने term use किया. So far we had used the term soul or spark soul. Now he's using the term psychic existence. ठीक है? Or soul behind, and in front, the form of individuality. So a spiritual personality put forward, एक ये term था, एक इस letter के beginning में आया था. What was that? Conscious form of the soul. Okay. Now what he's saying is the form of individuality it takes in its evolution in nature.
Anmol, I suggest you just read the next paragraph. We'll discuss it on the next class. But just to go in the flow, if you could read the next para.
All right. It's already 1 hour. Okay, I'll read the next one and then we'll stop. The soul or psychic is immutable only in the sense that it contains all the possibility of the divine within it. But this, it has to evolve, and in its evolution, it assumes the form of a developing psychic individual, evolving in the manifestation, the individual Prakriti, and taking part in the evolution. It is the spark of the divine fire that grows behind the mind, vital and physical, by means of the psychic being, until it is able to transform the Prakriti of ignorance into a Prakriti of knowledge. This evolving psychic being is not, therefore, at any time all that the soul or essential psychic existence bears within it. It temporalizes and individualizes what is eternal in potentiality, transcendent in essence, in this projection of the spirit. It's basically saying the same thing again and again in different words, and उसके अलग अलग जो भी minute differences है निकाल के, ताकि उसके सारे aspects इस knowledge के cover हो जाए. But he's not saying anything new essentially.
What is very powerful is the goal. It is able to transform the Prakriti of ignorance into a Prakriti of knowledge.
And for the transformation, as he said earlier, also the discovery of the psychic being is essential, and the coming forward of the psychic being. For the mere liberation, you do not need to give so much importance to the psychic being. For that, you discover your Jivatman and you can be liberated and you can leave the Prakriti to its fate. But for the transformation, because it is a psychic being which is involved in the Prakriti now. So for the transformation of the nature, the discovery of and the coming forward of the psychic being is absolutely essential. This is what Sri Aurobindo says.
That should take priority over discovery of Jivatman also, right? I mean, the
Jivatman discovery and realization is necessary so that you know what is your truest self. Okay? But that you are unborn and eternal essentially. It is necessary also for that. Why are not both the realizations are necessary? Such a word had come in.
Yeah, both the realization.
But transformation के लिए, to because it is a psychic being which will act as the instrument of the divine for the transformation and perfection of the, individual nature and as an extension of the entire world. Without the psychic being's discovery, the transformation is not possible. Okay, I think what we will do is next time, the last sentence of the previous paragraph, ye wala, yahan se, we'll start from here. It'll take maybe the next session. See, it's it's not heavy that way. You can read it, but slow deliberation say it sinks in more deeply, and nobody is in a hurry, right? Koi book thodi khatam karni hai. The idea is to, and the more actually we get into a kind of silence, the more the purpose of these sessions is served. The power of Sri Aurobindo's words, of this knowledge. So,
Anmol, since we've started this better clarity for all of us as a community on psychic being, it's been absolutely, I feel it's grace of the Lord.
absolutely.
And it's very, 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 very special. It's been, it's so illuminating, and it keeps on emphasizing what we need to prioritize. So I can't be grateful enough that we decided to take this path.
And I'm staying, it will take, next session will go in the rest of this letter, and then perhaps maybe three more sessions for covering the rest of the text. Right. What should we do? How should we close? Just be silent now?
Yeah, 1 minute of silence and we close.